Good morning. Welcome to Shields and Arrows, where we defend the faith, the family, and the fellowship. I am Pastor Mark Baze. I really appreciate you taking the time to tune in. If those of you that are consistent, you are the choir, the faithful, and I always appreciate you. And I know so many of you have not only devoted your time to following this ministry and learning from it and reaching out, but you have also invested your own financial resources. That's because you believe in what we're doing, and you have allowed us to do this. The fact that you can see this live stream right now, you can hear me speaking, that's all testament to you. When you teach the Bible contextually, biblically, accurately, it's not always easy to, make the Joel Osteen kind of bucks, right? So all of these things have been made possible by you, and I cannot thank you enough for that. There are some of you who have very recently helped support this ministry. You know who you are, and I just want you to know how much that I truly do appreciate you. All right, so we do have a few things to get to today. I know I'm a little bit slow in getting some things uploaded, but I'm working on it. There's a lot going on, okay? But with that, we need to talk about Hurricane Milton, not Hurricane Helene. We'll talk about that as well, but Hurricane Milton. So right now, our friends in Florida, which we do have a few. As a matter of fact, I was actually on the Grace Life podcast was it last week? Maybe 2 weeks ago. Those are our good friends out of Florida, and they are getting ready to be hit. I know Florida was a little bit affected by Helene, but they are about to get absolutely flooded by this Hurricane Milton. It's been upgraded very quickly. I think it started out just as a simple Category 1, and it's now up to Category 4 and maybe just a little shy of a Category 5. We'll see how severe things get. It seems like they are getting prepared. I saw a picture of the Tampa Bay Rays stadium, and it is just full of cots and food and supplies to get ready for anybody who needs housing, anybody who needs shelter. Sounds like DeSantis is really doing a pretty good job getting ready. Of course, in Florida, this is nothing new to them. They are very well versed in responding to these catastrophes. But we're going to see how bad it hits. And truth be told, probably Florida is going to do okay. I mean, you never know, but they'll probably do okay. That's because, like I said, they're used to it. One reason why Hurricane Helene has been so devastating is because when you live, hundreds of miles, right? At least 100 miles or so into the interior of the United States, you don't expect to be hit by a massive hurricane when you're living in the Appalachian Mountains. And so that's why so many people in the western side of North Carolina have been just absolutely devastated because there's things in Oklahoma we're prepared for, right? Everybody has a cellar or something that they are ready to take shelter in. We just know that is always a possibility. We also know that fires are a possibility. So we have fire departments every few miles, volunteer fire departments ready to respond. And so apologize, sounds like we've got a little bit of interference here. But there are certain things that we're not prepared for. And the case of the Appalachian Mountains, they just were not expected. Now, Hurricane Helene federal relief. Let's talk about that. That's been a major hot topic. There's a lot of scrutiny and a lot of discussion about how good of a job the federal government's actually doing. I have been trying hard to give them the benefit of the doubt. And the reason being is because, I have a lot of issues with our federal government. I think that they have managed just about everything absolutely terribly. Okay, I think that they have done a poor job in foreign matters, on the border, the economy, you name it. I think the federal government has absolutely dropped the ball. That being said, however, I've been trying to, just say, wait a minute, these disasters, we haven't seen hardly anything like this before, hitting the Carolinas like this, Georgia, and so maybe we need to wait and see how they respond. And at first, they were kind of slow, but, they're in the mountains. It's not like it's easy to get to, and so probably there was a lot of planning involved. Now, however, it does seem like there is some issues, like FEMA, right? The Federal Emergency Management Agency. They are not playing nice with a lot of the private people seeking to help, which is very strange. And why is that? Why would you not be welcoming to private citizens? Of course, you and I know the federal government isn't exactly a fan of private citizens. They think that we should be completely at their mercy and their will and doing everything they tell us to do. And they are the elites that, know everything and we know nothing. But you would at least think that they would be, kind and appreciative for people willing to help. But it does seem like they've been a little bit counterintuitive. Also, it sounds like maybe the resources that they have been designating are very lacking. They've tried to blame it on the Trump administration regarding immigration, and yet that was 3.5 years ago. Guys, Trump is not in office anymore. You can't keep blaming him for everything. And so they really seem to be underwhelming in their response. We have also had, and this is from some sources that I directly have spoken with, okay, who know people who are on the ground in North Carolina. And I know we also have Rick Allen here with us. Rick, I don't know if you can confirm or deny this, and if you would rather just remain quiet, you absolutely can. But there are some resources that we are hearing that is saying that $750, right, that whopping $750 in aid that's supposed to be given to every person affected or every family affected, a lot of people are being denied, not actually able to get it. And so there's a lot of questions as to how serious is the federal government about responding? How serious are they about helping the people of the Carolinas being affected by Hurricane Helene right now? And you would like to think the federal government could be efficient at doing something, being successful at doing something. But it seems like all that our federal government is good at is writing checks to other countries, killing babies, and, ushering in millions of people across our southern border. And Rick, responding right now, capital letters, says true, and I think that's in response to people being denied the FEMA $750 relief. So now we're getting it from multiple sources, not only those that I had spoken with yesterday, but we have in North Carolina and right here. So what's the point? $750 is nothing. That's going to get them some food for a couple days, maybe. I don't know what else $750 is even going to do for you. So not only are you giving them basically nothing, while we're writing $150 million checks to the people of Lebanon, but also now you're not even allowing people to have it. So it's very frustrating. And here's the thing. If the federal government in previous years and events and conduct had shown goodwill to the American people, showing themselves to be trustworthy, showing themselves to be honest, maybe we would be more willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. But they've burned us time and time and time again, being dishonest, especially during COVID or matters regarding the border, saying, no, there's no terrorists getting across the border. Guess what? There's terrorists getting across the border. Or there's no child trafficking occurring as a result of the border. And yes, there's child trafficking occurring as a result of the border. And so they have lied to us and shown just disdain for the American people again and again, and especially these agencies, right? They're no friend to the American people. And they have, I don't know if they're really even claiming to be really friends to the American people anymore. I think that they just see themselves as the bureaucracy that while politicians come and go, they hold power forever, and they have all the wisdom in the world to operate behind the scenes, implementing rulings and regulations and conduct. There's just no good faith. There's no credibility in the federal government anymore. So FEMA, if you want us to trust you, stop putting up your FEMA employees in 5-star hotels while Maui burns. And I've seen some videos. I don't know if this is true or not. It could have been miscommunication, people not operating as they should. But there's even been some interesting videos of helicopters flying over, just blowing disaster relief areas. All their tents and everything around, messing up supplies. I'm not saying that the federal government's doing it on purpose, but I don't know. Maybe sending in some people to help clean up the mess that you accidentally made. We need to see some kind of goodwill toward the American people from our federal government. And right now, it seems like the only thing that they are interested in is just making sure that the people of South America have hotels to live in and that you can murder your baby whenever you believe it is, I was not even going to say necessary, because it's not based on necessity. It's more like when you feel like it, right? If you wake up that day feeling up to it. All right, so that is the status on Hurricane Helene. Right now, I'm not sure what the death toll is. We'll see. I know it was over 200 yesterday. The Hurricane Helene death toll is now at 227. No, that was even 2 days ago. So it's probably even higher than that. Now I'm seeing, as of 20 minutes ago, the death toll is 230, and there's probably going to be even more. And when you compare that to Katrina, I know Katrina was in the thousands, over 1,000 people, but Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans. That is an extremely populated area. The Carolinas, you're in the mountains. It's very sporadic. There's people scattered all throughout. It's not nearly as dense of a population. So to have over 200 killed in the Appalachian Mountains is every bit as devastating as over 1,000 people dying in Hurricane Katrina. Both are awful. Both are terrible. Both deserve. Like I said, if we're going to have this massive federal government that has these massive agencies, then this is deserving of your absolute best efforts. And we just don't know that we're getting that right now. So it's very frustrating as American people. I feel like we're really incompetent. In the 60s, we put men on the moon, all right? And now it seems like the most basic operations that you could ask of anybody to do, we're not good at it. If our disaster relief response is like this, and we know that we have been distracted by all these policies, then what shape is our military in right now? Does anybody actually feel good about our military? Who has the military been trying to recruit for the past 3.5 years? I'm looking around and I'm seeing a lot of young men like my age who they would have been prime candidates for back in the day. They're tough, outgoing, outdoors, patriotic, and yet they didn't go to the military because they didn't feel like the military was a place of patriotism. They could already see it back then. My parents really pushed me to go to college, partly because Obama was in power in the White House at the time. And my dad, maybe being forward-thinking, probably seeing where all this is trending. Our military's been more concerned about promoting DEI and showing commercials with some 120-pound girl talking about she learned bravery from her 2 moms. Meanwhile, you have other countries who are worried about promoting masculinity. Say what you want about China. China's trying to promote masculinity. Say what you want about Russia. Russia's trying to promote masculinity. And I know that we've been sitting back and saying, man, Russia's extremely incompetent. And they probably in some ways they are. They're very much outdated in technology compared to a lot of the stuff that we have. All right. Our firearms are just better. Our equipment's just better. Our night vision is just better. Our plates are better. All those things. But sometimes it doesn't matter how good your equipment is. Sometimes it does matter how determined and gritty and masculine your soldiers are. I don't know. Makes you worried, makes you concerned. So with that, not the most comforting things that we're seeing coming from our federal government right now. Blame it on Biden, blame it on Harris, blame it on the Obamas. But truth be told, I think a lot of you can sit back and say we've seen a lot of incompetence from the federal government for decades now in a lot of different areas. You can go all the way back to maybe even the early 90s, how Clinton handled Somalia, for example, Black Hawk Down, talking about our military. That was really the story of a terrible approach to military tactics. So whether it's our military, whether it's our FEMA, doesn't matter. Our federal government has its problems. And before it starts pointing fingers at you and saying that you're the problem, maybe we should tell them to go look in the mirror. All right, now, Kamala Harris, your favorite person to talk about, right? Hey, I know we've been talking about it a lot, but guess what? We are less than a month away from the election, all right? As of today, it is October 8th. I need to update my watch. It's one day behind. I actually got a really nice watch from a friend of mine. I just haven't made it to the jewelry store to have the band size to me. I'll get it done eventually. I've been too busy trying to manage all of my 500 children. Now, with that, we had an interview. Kamala Harris, she goes on 60 Minutes. Credit to 60 Minutes. They actually kind of pressed her on the matter, okay? They asked her some hard questions. I don't know which reporter that it was that interviewed her. On 60 Minutes. Let's see here. I'm trying to find the name of the reporter that interviewed her on 60 Minutes. If you know the name, please let me know. But I will give him credit where credit is due. He actually asked her some hard questions. Now, it's all questions that she did to herself, all right? He basically just asked her very honest questions. It wasn't like he was trying to go digging in the well for some really challenging, complicated question. What he asked her was, a lot of American people say that they don't really know who you are. The reason is possibly because you keep changing all your positions. You were opposed to fracking, now you're for fracking. You were opposed to prosecuting illegal immigrants, now you are very tough on the border. You wanted a gun ban, now you don't want it. So what is your why have you changed your position so much, and why can they trust you now? I mean, it's a very fair, legitimate question. And Kamala Harris absolutely stumbled all over herself. She repeated the same old mantra that she said stuff about diplomacy and basically got back to, your values not changing, but you've got to be diplomatic and how you conduct yourself. Very, very bad showing for her. It was not a good interview. Now, the media is probably going to try to pretty it up for her because always they must protect her at all costs because she's their chosen candidate. But it was not a good. Tim Walz also didn't fare near as well either. He also, it was two separate interviews, but Tim Walz also got hit with you've said a lot of dishonest things about being in Tiananmen Square when the protest was going on and all those things. And Tim Walz, he kind of hum-hawed his way around that whole thing. Why are they doing more interviews? That's a question. You will recall, back in early days, they were not doing any interviews. Kamala Harris was not doing an interview with anybody. She was just doing rallies and basically pop stars. And the entire platform was joy, this is fun, it's all about energy, right? Everybody's happy. I'm the candidate of joy and fun and excitement. And she wasn't doing any single interview, and her poll numbers were looking really good, right? Jumped way